Okay, I have my skewer and my 2B pencil, only this one's 5, but you're going to use a 2B pencil, and my Needy eraser just in case. So I have established that unit of measurement. Now remember, this is the scale that I am going to relate all the rest of my subject to. And in this case, it's bread. And we're going to start by general to specific. So the first thing I want to do is see if I have the overall length of my bread accurate in my gesture drawing. So I'm going to look at this piece over here, closing one eye, using my pointer finger as a slide to get that measurement, closing one eye to flatten out the perspective. I've got my unit of measurement. Now, elbow locked, don't get a spongy arm. Turning to the side, don't point in or out. Pretend like you have a sheet of glass there and you're staying on that plane. I'm going to come to the end of my loaf and count how many units go into the overall length. 1, 2, 3, and about 4 1/4. So if I come over here, I can go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm probably a little bit long, so I'm going to indicate that I'll probably have to cut off a little bit at this end and this end in order to fit in that measurement. Now I'm going to double check while I can here. Getting my unit of measurement again. All right. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 4 and that 1/4. 1, 2, 3, 4 and a little bit there. Feeling pretty good. Okay, so once you have your length and you know that you've got that length, I want to get the overall height. So looking at my bread, using my same section that my unit of measurement is on, I now want to see how many of those units go into the overall height, to that highest point that I can see on this section of my bread. So coming to my still life, I'm going to get that unit of measurement and then move that up. It is more than half. 1 and about maybe 2/3. So I'm going to come here and go 1 and I realize, I'm probably going to need to go a little bit taller on my section here to get that overall height. And using my Needy eraser, I'm going to make those adjustments. So checking that again. And then I'll check over here. Yeah, that feels pretty good to me. So I now have my overall height for this section of bread. And as long as I'm in this section, because that's where I have my unit of measurement, I'm going to now get the width of that. Just this section here. So come back to my unit of measurement. And now I'm going to check that bottom section. And you know what? It's actually very close to the same. So I know I've got my gesture a little too long. I'm going to need to shorten that. So that bottom section ends here. So now it relates to my unit of measurement. See that? And I assume this side's going to be the same, but I'm going to double check because bread can kind of get squunched or squished. But they are the same. And that's one of the reasons I went with this section first, is because it isn't squunched or squished. Now, this side is fairly straight. It has a little bit of a lean. This side has a little more of a lean. So when I get that measurement in there, I'm going to include that lean. And then I want to double check the measurement at this section here. That's where the little crease in the bread is, up there at the top. So check my unit of measurement. And it's a little bit, let's see. It's a little bit longer than my unit of measurement, but we're talking a tiny bit, not too much, but just enough to give it that little more bit of a lean at the top. And right now I'm doing fairly straight lines here. I'm just constructing this in those general straight terms, even though bread has lots of curves. We'll get to those curves, but right now we're doing these general shapes first. So now my top of the bread, there is a curve here, but I want to get that overall general angle to the top of that bread. So I'm going to kind of ignore the curve and go from this point across to the corner on the other end. And then I can get the curve in. Let's see, so I should use my stick, it's easier to see. I am pretending like I'm on a clock face and just turning my stick to get that angle. And I'm gonna take that right over here and go, okay, I need to move this in more like that, which is going to shift these pieces, and I suspected it might, so that's one of the reasons I'm working on this nice straight section of bread first. Now I want to get this length up here at the top. It's fairly straight, so let's go to my unit of measurement. Now, one thing, did you notice when it comes to checking the angles on something, I am directly taking that measurement and coming over to my board. That way it's just one movement. My arm is locked, it doesn't move, the stick doesn't move. That way I can really get that measurement directly pulling it right over. So that is different from when we're measuring, where I'm just comparing up here and then applying it here. So getting my unit of measurement again, I want to measure that top part of my section of bread there, and it's almost exactly the same in length as my unit of measurement. So if I go like this section of bread ends right there. Now I'm going to get that angle on this portion. So I'm looking at where that crease meets that back slice of bread, and what's the angle on that? And I'm going to bring that right over. And actually this point and this point are lined up quite well. So this piece here, I can get in that little jog of an angle there. That one's pretty much in place. Now I'm going to get this section, this section, this section. I'm just working in sections. I am not looking at individual pieces of bread yet. So I do know that looking at this one, I know it's going to hit this piece right about here. But I want to get that angle on the bread, and I want to know what that distance is, that space between this piece and this piece. So I'm going to get my unit of measurement back and look to see how big that space is, that gap. It is a little more than half. So if I come up here and I go like this, I'll go, yeah, I had it. Pretty good. It's about that far, that distance there. So now I can check from here to here to see if I have that angle right. I'm gonna bring it right over. Perfect. Lines up very well. Now I want to get the measurement of those two last pieces. What is the thickness on those compared to my unit of measurement? And it's about half a unit of measurement wide, and I've got that working pretty well there too. So it's about like that. And now I want to get that angle here. And I do need to come a little further in than I had on here. Erasing, adjusting my gesture as I go. So there. Now from the top of this bread, these come down shorter, and I'm just going to kind of eye that. It's about right here, and then angles off this way. So those are there, but I can see inside this piece of bread here. So I want to get the angle on that. And it's steeper than one might think. Going off this way, but it meets the bread on the other side that comes down kind of like this. So I've got this chunk, now I'm going to do that one. So starting here, how wide is that section of bread? I'll come to my unit of measurement, and I'll compare it, and it's a little less than 2/3. So I'm going to go the opposite direction and get that width here and then compare it back to my unit of measurement. Sometimes it helps to go back and forth for me. So yeah, so then I can eye it and I can tell it's about like that. Come here and go, okay, I need to come in a little bit shorter on this end here. So that section comes like this, and it does have a little lean on it. Just gonna get that lean going here. And I want to measure up here at the crease, which is a little higher, so check the horizontals as well. The crease on this section, since it's bumped out, is lower than the crease on this section. So I want that to be a little higher there. I'm going to just check the width of that section to my unit of measurement and to that bottom section, and it's a little bit wider at the top because the bread's a little squished together and then it fans out a bit. So actually I think it's probably about right. It's feeling pretty good. So I'm going to leave that. And now I want to get that back part. So this section here is a little lower. This one I know is going to have to come up higher. Let's see how wide that is. Compare it to my unit of measurement. It's about like this. So ends about here. Now I want to check this angle. And this piece is coming forward and overlapping that. So I just have to go with what I can see. And it's about like that. I'm going to clean up my gesture in there. Okay, this section, it is bumping out. So I had it a little low. So comparing those, let's see. It's a little, actually, a little further. Check my eyes here. Okay, so let's check the unit of measurement on that. Going to the crease up here, I'll go with this unit and compare, and they are very close to the same. And so right there, but let's see how wide that is. Going back to my unit of measurement, looks like it's a little more than half. I'm going to check that by getting that piece, going back to my unit of measurement. Yep, a little more than half. So if I come here and go, okay, a little more than half, like that. Spot on. My eye's pretty good. Okay. And then I'll just check that side. It looks a little bit squished to me, so I just want to make sure I get that. Nope, it just has more lines, but it should be about the same. Okay. Now, top of this one. Let's see, I'm going to double check how much of that top of that one can I see. Just get the overall from the crease to the furthest edge. Compare that to my unit of measurement, and it's about half. So if I come here, go about half, and yep, we're good. So angle on the top, it's pretty flat there, so that's good. But I feel like this may be a little wide. So let's check that angle on the end. Pretty good. I think it's just that I don't have the curves in there, so my brain is saying, I don't know about that, but that's feeling good. And this piece comes pretty straight down, not the side, but how far down is this before that other piece of bread hits? So I'm going to check this measurement here to see how that compares. A little more than half. So I need to come up a little higher. on this piece that's sticking out here. And I'm going to check the back, this piece here. Compare that to my unit of measurement. It's about like that. It's about here. Need to bring that in a little. All right, now I want to get this angle. Make sure I've got that going okay. Right over. All right. Now, I want to get the length of that fallen piece of bread. Compare that to my unit of measurement. And it is very much the same. So I need to add a little bit more here to get that overall length. But the bread is kind of curved, so optically it feels like maybe it's not that long, but it is. All right, so we have everything in place here. This is our general construction of the bread. Next, we will go to measuring out each individual piece, and then we will move to the contour and the line weight. So at this point, I want you to stop and photograph your bread, but make sure that I can see your unit of measurement. So push that in just a little bit darker, so I know that is your piece, that one section that's your unit of measurement. When we do our critique in class, I will be asking you to show me if I can't tell what is that section. What did you use as your measurement for the overall proportion of your bread? So stopping here, get to that point, and then make sure you photograph your work, and then we'll continue on.